Support WrestleTalk!
Give us a subscribe.
The Fiendish Alexa Bliss. No. As soon as Alexa, stop. As soon as I said that name, I forgot to press the mute button on the Amazon Echo in our house. Alexa Bliss made her in-ring debut last night on Raw. I know what you're thinking, but Bliss has been wrestling for ages. I'm talking about her new character with Bray Wyatt, specifically on Raw. I'm Mr. Davis. I'm joined by Lukewarm Luke Owen. We've got a full review of last night's Raw. Today, of course, get in your Ultra Chats at WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them before the end of the show. But let's talk about one of my favorite acts. I mean, Raw's had its booking problems a lot this year. You know, I think that the Heyman era at the start of lockdown was unfortunately quite boring, but at least they were assembling parts for things. Heyman goes and the show falls apart, right? Just completely goes to tatters. After the draft, though, it's been bad. There's been the retribution stuff, but I must say, like 2 weeks ago was okay. Last week, I thought was a very good show with the very newsworthy Drew McIntyre title change. And now, sort of in the background, I feel like this Fiend story with Bray and Bliss has been building very nicely in various ways, because you've got the Randy Orton thing as well that we'll talk about in the main event. But it's been building in quite a nice way. So when Bliss actually wrestled a match here against Nikki Cross, it felt like a mini pay-per-view match.
Do you know what, Davis? It's typical. It's typical of you that, you know, it's typical Ollie Davis. No one likes this show. No one likes Raw. Wrestling Observer Radio don't like it. Fightful don't like it. But old Ollie Davis, he's with his AEW bias, who hates he just criticizes every single thing that WWE puts out. It's the only person on the planet that actually likes this show. And do you know what it is? You're not on your own, because I also like this episode of Raw as well.
Look, because Andy, website manager Andy Datson, he told us on the morning call, everyone hated the episode. And then we said, who? And he said, Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez. Like, well, that's not surprising. They don't like a lot of stuff that goes on with that. So has there been anyone else down on this?
Yeah, Fightful weren't keen on it either. I was listening to Denise and Sean this morning. They weren't massively keen on the show.
Well, you know, it wasn't a perfect show. And there was a lot of stuff that was annoying, but I thought the in-ring wrestling was great. I thought the matches had stakes because of the number one contenders qualifiers. And yeah, this Fiend Alexa stuff was... Alexa, stop. God damn it. This Fiend Bliss stuff was really good.
It's great, man. Like this Fiend Bliss stuff. I can say Alexa, I don't have one of those. I don't have robots listening to every conversation that I put in the house. But yeah, I thought it was great. I think this is the most interesting Alexa Bliss has been in years, I would argue. It's the most interesting she's been. This isn't coffee Bliss. This isn't talk show host Bliss. This isn't topless Bliss. This is an actual interesting character who has got weight and emotion and investment and a storyline and reason and purpose, and it's genuinely brilliant. And actually, what I really liked about this episode of Raw, it's still too long, like that goes without saying. It's far too long of a show, but everything on this show, with the exception of the women's tag match, felt like it mattered. And that, to me, that's good. Like a lot of this, like all the stuff that was on this show, for the most part, made sense. Sure, it wasn't a perfect show. There was stuff on there that was actually, you know, I thought that the Keith Lee stuff was incredibly infuriating. But for the most part, yeah, this is a thumbs up show, mate. I enjoyed it a lot.
On the Bliss stuff, I think all of those things are totally true. It's a revamp of her character that really was going nowhere. Like, what's the last good thing she'd done before that? And I'm not saying that as a criticism against Bliss as a performer or person, just the way she's been booked. Like the stuff with Cross, I never got on with. I genuinely believe for a long period, it was the worst technically told story in the whole company.
That's because they didn't know what the story was. They kept saying they would do the story that it's that she's using her to be a friend, and then they were just friends. But it's not like they went on a journey and Bliss realized that she was wrong to be using Nikki Cross and actually became friends with her. they just started being friends. And that was it. It was, you're right, a terribly told story.
The last good thing I can remember, well, the last thing that jumps to my mind is her promo at the end of Elimination Chamber when she did the whole swerve, like, got you. It wasn't really sincere, but here we have her. She's got all of that stuff to sink her teeth into. And wouldn't you believe it, when a wrestler has a lot of substance to play with and they're very talented themselves, we get some excellent work. Like, because it's all that stuff, but it's also Bliss herself as a performer. So what happened here? We had an episode of the Firefly Funhouse where today's subject is friendship, and we got the friendship frog, and Sister Abigail pops up the puppet and just like, or Abby the Witch, it's like, who the F is that? which was quite funny. And you're like, it's the friendship frog. And the whole idea was Bliss has to overcome her friendship with Nikki Cross, because that's a bad thing. And Bliss batters the frog into smithereens with the crucifix.
Yeah, and it was, and they had a little memoriam for him. He got a video package, which some people felt was better than the Undertaker's one. I don't think they're wrong either. And
what it's missing was all the other puppets having a really long entrance before the frogs.
Yeah. And then they just all disappear. And then they all laugh because the frog croaked. I thought it was excellent. I also love as well in this that Bray, his motivation with Alexa Bliss is, he's just trying to he's recruiting, he's trying to get let the Fiend in and this, that, and the other. But he is also a man who has had friendships burn. He is a man, like quite literally, he let Randy Orton become a friend, and Randy Orton burned down his house. And that's something he's clearly not forgiven him for, because we've seen that in the main event. So that then mirrors quite nicely the stuff you're doing with Bliss and Cross. The video package that they had for Bliss and Cross, by the way, made this look like it was an epically told story over multiple years. Genuinely, you said it felt like a mini pay-per-view. I wrote in my notes, this feels like it should be on pay-per-view. This is such a good video package. This feels like it should be on pay-per-view. As Davis, is it me or is it Davis? People. Which one is it?
Oh, I'm back.
It was Davis. Oh, thank God for that.
Definitely me. It was definitely me.
You were frozen like this as well. I was like, man, he's really interested in the point I'm making.
What did you get to? I heard a bit of it.
I was basically saying it's really good. It felt like it should be on pay-per-view. But, as you said in your review, this was more angle than match, and you can save this for a pay-per-view, like a proper match between them.
So what we got was the real like there was a couple of number one contender qualifiers she had on SmackDown in September. So she was with Bray at this point. I think she had a singles match against Lacey Evans. But for me, this was like, she's really found that character, and her and Bray have found that act on Raw, the way they've done that together. And this for me was Bliss's Fiend version in-ring debut, how she's going to be. I still think there's a lot of mileage for Bliss having her own fiendish alter ego, her supreme version. But yeah, it was very similar to how Bray wrestles when he is in his Mr. Rogers guys. So Bliss let Nikki take most of the offense. She wouldn't fight her. She just, you'd say, like almost laughed at the idea of being beaten up. So when Bliss suddenly cracks, and I thought this was great acting from Bliss, where she just like, she starts crying. She's like, oh my God, help me, as if the Fiend's spell had been broken. And now she was no longer under his control. And Nikki was like, oh my God. And you see this in horror films all the time. And you're like, they were just possessed. They're fine now. Nikki goes in to help. It's all a ruse. And Bliss pins her.
Yes, she hits the Sister Abigail. Like, as soon as they hug, she hits the Sister Abigail. They don't spend some time, like, there was no teasing of it or anything. It was just hug, boom, into the Sister Abigail, which I thought was actually a much, much better way to do it. Bliss's acting here was so good and so convincing that at the end of it, I wasn't sure whether it was like the spell had been broken and then she just sort of snapped back, or whether she was playing this mind game. Like the commentator said, like it was all a mind game thing. But the acting was so convincing that I think I could write my own headcanon that she did have the spell broken for just a fleeting moment. I thought Bliss was fantastic in this. I actually got a tweet from someone last week that said they need to get Alexa Bliss as far away from Bray Wyatt as possible because this is ruining her character, and like she could go and do much better things. And I was like, I didn't reply, but I was like, dude, this is so much more interesting than anything she's done in a long, long time.
That's yeah. Sorry, I just saw a super chat that came through that's quite outrageously awful. But the, at the end of it, she also.
Oh my god!
It's a joke. It's a funny joke. We'll get to it. She pins Cross like that, like with her head. What would you call that? It's like a kawaii.
Yeah, like a kawaii thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I know this one. This way round is the flower.
Mm-hmm.
So look, it's like my head is in a petal.
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
I saw that when I was watching lots of South Korean pop shows when I was on holiday on the foreign TV channel. I loved them.
Mm-hmm.
And like all the boy bands would go, flower pose. Ridiculous. Shall we see what you guys think of the Bliss Fiend stuff in the Ultra chats? Won't do that again.
Really, I'm sure it's going to get over.
So of course, get all your Ultra chats to WrestleTalk.com/support. We'll read out every single one of them before the end of the show. Bacon Rasher says, "Hi lads, finally Streamlabs works. Yay! Bliss and Fiend are the best thing by a mile on Raw, but that was a decent show with good wrestling, minus the finishes. Can I also add a shout out to Cameron Wellington, the very talented 19-year-old UK wrestler, taken too soon? Oh no, I haven't heard about that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that, but no, that's awful. Yeah, very sad, very sad. Yeah,
but yeah, for I totally agree with you on the Bliss and Fiend thing. And yeah, great wrestling. The finishes, we'll get onto them. I mean, I'm so conditioned to this with WWE now. I don't even find it that offensive.
Like as soon as as soon as Keith Lee and Bobby Lashley started their match, I was like, this is a DQ. I wrote in my notes, I guarantee you MVP causes a DQ here.
Matthew Robinson, this match was perfect with all the character and the way they have been playing off Alexa Bliss. What do you guys think? I think this is a 5 out of 5 show.
There it is. Someone else who was positive about this show. Thought it was pretty good, mate. Really, really enjoyed it.
Jonathan Hedman, can we have a moment of silence for Friendship Frog? He taught me everything I know about what being a friend is.
Yeah, we didn't mention that thing, but they beat him to death with the crucifix, the Randy Orton crucifix, crucially.
We didn't talk about this either. What's I can't remember his name. He debuted, was it James Storm's old tag team partner? He debuted on
Ram. Which one?
No. It's this meme where it's a wrestler who was only there for 2 segments and they've made a best of.
Oh, Chris Harris. The Wildcat Chris Harris. Yeah. America's Most Wanted with Braden Walker. Yeah, and that's a brilliant video. That video is like 15 years old, it feels like at this point. Go and find on YouTube like the best of Braden Walker, where they cut together moments from people like on DVDs talking about other wrestlers being like what a storied career they had. And they show just his includes 2 backstage segments.
I got that because the whole Friendship Frog video package was all these moments we never saw. And they just replayed that one bit he'd done earlier. Rakshit Kana, later referring to her as Bliss, you started with saying Alexa so much that my Alexa device was picking it up every 4 seconds. Then a crime with afterface emoji. And fittingly after that, we've got this one from Amro, who's trying to make me add something to my shopping list by writing.
Oh, right. Okay.
Because if I was to read this out, Alexa, please add smelly boogers to my shopping list. Oh, no. Alexa, stop.
I did not. Of course it was going to happen.
Oh my God. No. I said to myself, don't read it out properly.
And then you read it out as if you were actually trying to add something to your shopping list.
Oh, no.
They got what they wanted.
That worked.
What's it going to add? Boogers? Smelly boogers to your...
It added something. Shopping list. I've not got anything in my basket.
This is the problem. Guys, and this is a call out to you now. If you've got one of these in your house, get rid of it now. This is how Skynet takes over. is by getting YouTubers to add stuff to their baskets that they don't want or don't need. Get rid of them now.
So me and my lady partner, of course, share the Amazon account. She is buying some crap that we do not need.
I remember back at our old movie podcast days, you told a story about how like your partner, she made a conscious effort at the start of the year, was like, I'm not going to give any money to Amazon because they're not paying their taxes. They're not like, they could make a huge difference to this world, but they're just choosing not to. And the day after she made that promise, she forgot to cancel her Amazon Prime subscription.
Oh, and it renewed, yeah.
It's like, damn it.
Oh my God, trying to cancel the auto-renewed Amazon Prime subscription. I can't think of a good comparison of what is equally difficult, but it's very difficult.
Buried, absolutely buried.
Got some exfoliating socks. Gonna do those tonight.
Wow. What the hell is an exfoliating sock?
They're all the rage on that Instagram right now. Little socks. It's kind of like a face mask, but it's kind of like a verruca sock. I've not done it before, but our friends are going crazy about it. I think lockdown's just bored everyone to tears. You put the sock on, you leave it on for like an hour. So we're going to do it with the Bake Off final. Take it off, and then over the next week, your skin, that layer of dead skin cells. I'm so sorry if anyone's eating right now. You can just peel off the outer layer of skin.
What, in one go?
In one go, like it's a...
No,
like
I'll be honest. That sounds pretty... That sounds incredibly satisfying.
Yeah, that's why we're doing it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see other people's pictures, but I'm very into doing it myself.
Yeah, it does sound quite... Yeah. Because I've just got one of those... I've got like a mechanical one, just like... Bzz, a bit like a shaver, basically, just to just sort of rub it across, and it just shaves off the dead skin on your feet.
Well, you can have some baby feet. We should get sponsored by them. I'll get in touch with them. Before we get on with the full play-by-play review of the show, just 2 bits of housekeeping. This is a podcast, like an audio podcast form, which you can get from Spotify and Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. We haven't had a single review written on Apple Podcasts for over a year now.
Yeah, it's been 14 months.
Yeah, if you like us, find us on Apple Podcasts and write a review. We'll read it out on the show. That'll be very, very appreciative. That'd be great.
Yeah. Also, sorry. Do you want to, you do your other one? Because I think there's one you may have. Okay, you do your other one.
Well, I was going to ask, just so I'm the champion. Laurie had some weird stuff at the end. Said he's fake Adore again. I haven't heard from him since.
No, we haven't been able to get a hold of him. I mean, I text him, but I didn't get a text back.
I'm starting to think it's all a big misunderstanding, because we said, didn't we, this would be the end of the championship thing. I'd be champion forever, whatever. So I think it's okay. Whether we're gonna try and get him on the AEW podcast on Thursday if we can get a hold of him. But yeah, stay tuned. Was that what you wanted to talk about?
No, I was going to say that this podcast is also sponsored by Beer 52. Go to beer52.com.
Is it today?
Yes, it is. Yeah, go to beer52.com/WrestleTalk and get yourself a free case of craft beer on us. Oh, good, you've got one that you can open. I was just thinking, had a panic then that you didn't have one that you could get to hand and open. Because I haven't got a bottle opener close by. What are you tucking into there?
I am tucking into the Session IPA.
Oh, it's good. That's a really delicious one, actually. They just say it's a refreshing and juicy Session IPA with a tropical aroma. It's Croatian.
Oh my God. It's so pineapple-y.
It's delicious. Really, really tasty. Beer52.com/WrestleTalk. Get yourself a free case of 8 delicious craft beers on us. You've just got to pay or play for that postage to get it across to you. Brilliant, fantastic service. I've been a subscriber to Beer 52 for 5, going on nearly 6 years now, and it's awesome. Love them. They're really, really good guys. Go and support them along with us. So beer52.com/WrestleTalk and have a lovely time.
Support. Were you trying to say that did you think you had something else to say there? And then you had to wrap it up Have a lovely time.
Well, I did think there's something else that I do need to say, but I did forget what it was. And I was like, but if I extend out my words long enough, eventually it will come back to me. And it didn't. So I just said, and have a lovely time.
You are pure Alan Partridge today. Okay, this episode of Raw, we could probably talk about that as well. It was good. So it started off as this opening segment. I think we got the exact same video package of Drew McIntyre winning last week that we got for Survivor Series. So that was a bit phoned in. But the actual show opened in just the most awkward, clunky way possible in the ring. All of the Team Men Survivor Series standing in a row opposite the hard cam. Adam Pearce is in the middle of them. And as soon as I saw that image, I thought, I'm going to hate this episode. I hate this already. And he sort of, says, you all won last night. So the next number one contender is going to be from you guys. Make your case, guys. And I thought, oh my God, couldn't you have said that before Survivor Series?
Right, but there are two other problems with here is that Adam Pearce is like all of these lads standing in a row look like absolute dorks. Adam Pearce then grabs the microphone and is just like, we are 1 week removed from a historic episode of Raw where Drew McIntyre won the WWE Championship. And just 24 hours after we said a final farewell to The Undertaker. And it's like, what are you talking about? The commentators have already said that. What are you saying? Why are you telling us this? And then they turns to me and he's like, can you all make your case why you should be the next number one contender? And I just thought to myself, 7 days ago, if you'd have had someone say, let it be Adam Pearce, it may as well be, just said, whoever is a surviving member of their team will get a title shot, or it will go into contention for a title shot at the WWE or Universal Championship. All of a sudden, Team Raw coming together on Survivor Series makes sense. Don't do it the day after and then say, but you've also got to make a good argument as to why it should be you. This was crap. Absolute crap.
When people say pro wrestling's fake, I don't think they're talking about the wrestling. I think they're talking about segments like these. I can't defend this. If you said, if someone says pro wrestling's fake to you, it hits a nerve, right? Not with this bit. I agree with you. This is fake. Let's start calling it fake if it's bad and artificial like this. Anyway, Matt Riddle had bad comedy material, but somehow made it affable again. I don't know how he's doing it. Maybe he is annoying some people, but he's not annoying me. And then what I did appreciate about this segment was the massive escalation of conflict. Because there was nothing, right? It was a completely flat segment, really badly staged. Nothing felt real. And Adam Pearce is continuing on with his generic promo. And he says, last but not least. And then Braun just flies off the handle for what is quite a well-known phrase of last but not least.
Yeah, well, you've got to set up your number one contender somehow, haven't you?
You're calling me last! Is exactly how he sounded. And he head-butted Adam Pearce.
Yeah, and they put this over on commentary like it was the most... I think it was Byron Saxton said, it's the most heinous act he's ever seen in WWE. Ludicrous statements by commentary. WrestleMania worthy. WrestleMania worthy statements they were making.
Anyway, this sort of came back later. Then we got the Hurt Business versus New Day match, which...
Why did you ask for this every week? Why did you say, I'm going to have this match every week? Look what you did.
Did I say that, or did I say these two teams could be the backbone of Raw's tag division? My error there was forgetting that there were no other tag teams. So, of course, they have to go back to them. They had... And what's unfortunate, I thought last week's match was terrific. New Day had a terrific match against Street Profits as well. Amazing work last week. This wasn't a good match. And it wasn't any of those guys' faults. It was, again, the booking.
Yeah, was this a botch? Was this... Because the way that... None of this made any matter of sense. Because they did a double count-out spot, right, at the start of this. And then the New Day seemingly, run away. The baby faces run away, which means their heels have to make the challenge, being like, oh, you want to win that way? Why didn't you come down here and really defend those titles? And then the New Day accepted it. It made the New Day look like they didn't want to put their titles on the line. They didn't want to be fighting champions. They were quite happy to just run away. Like Woods was screaming, get my belt, get my belt. It was such a bizarre choice. And then they just had a match. And I thought, oh, okay, maybe they're gonna do a title switch to make this all kind of give it some semblance of sense. But no, then the New Day just won.
Yeah, there's a lot not to like here. But the reason I don't think it's a botch is because WWE's booking of matches has been so contrived in an effort to protect everyone, but in so doing, flattening everyone out. And I got flashbacks to last summer where it is 2 out of 3 falls matches, double countouts. It came exactly before the break. This was the big cliffhanger going into an ad break. So I think it was completely designed. I'm not saying that's good. I would have preferred it to have been a mistake. Then it would have been quite impressive for them to think so quickly on their feet, but I don't think it is. And I think there's, quite a... Kofi injured himself after the match restarted with this, quite crazy flip over the top rope, landed firmly on both feet on the ground. The idea is he jammed one of his legs. And I thought, surely tell that in the first half of the match. So that's the reason why New Day are trying to escape from this. Kofi's worked over. He's having to restart a match injured. That's the correct psychology for a babyface heel dynamic.
Yeah, this didn't work for me, unfortunately, which is a shame because New Day and Street Profits had match of the night for me at Survivor Series, and New Day and the Hurt Business tore it up last week. But yeah, this unfortunately did not work for me, and it's none of their faults. Absolutely none of their faults. This is bad booking hurting them.
Yeah, so by this point, I was not enjoying this show. No. I thought this was a really weak show. Adam Pearce comes out the doctor's room. He's about to announce what's going to happen with the number 1 contenders stuff. But Bobby Lashley wanted to have a word.
Sorry, are we just going to skip straight over McInfart?
Oh, yes, sorry. You know what? I couldn't find where McInfart happened. I missed it.
It's in this.
It's segment. Here. Right.
It's here, yeah. He said that he was going to make an announcement about who was going to face WWE champion Drew McIntyre. It was... McIntyre made me laugh so much, and it really shouldn't have done, but it was so funny.
I really hope it doesn't get over. That would be awful. Like, Drew McIntyre hasn't done anything wrong, but he will forever be McInfart.
McInfart.
Oh God! don't let Vince hear it or see it. He will make it part of the character rather than the sword swing at the start of the entrance music.
Yeah, I want someone who's much more creative than I am to redo Drew McIntyre's entrance music, but just fart sounds. So really layer it. So do each of the instruments, but with all the different fart sounds. That'd be great.
Anyway, Bobby Lashley and Randy Orton both took Pearce to one side for a chat, and then Pearce finally announced that next week, on this show, we'll have 3 singles matches. The winner of each of those will advance to next week, where there'll be a triple threat number 1 contenders match.
Yeah. In all of this as well, Braun was escorted from the building, which is why he was not a part of any of these matches. And Adam Pearce said that he was actually going to, it's going to cost him his job. He's going to make sure that he's never seen again. So he'll likely be there next week. And those triple threats were the men's Survivor Series team. So AJ, Sheamus, Riddle, and Lee. Bobby Lashley, because he was the only member of Raw who was a champion to get a win at Survivor Series. And Randy Orton, just because. Yeah.
Well, he was the champion last week. I don't think that's too out of the ordinary.
Works for me.
Also in this, Lana got an interview about winning Survivor Series, said she's on cloud 9. She's dreaming. Her feet haven't left the sort of air since she won. And I was just like, come on. You didn't do anything. What is the character? Is she an underdog? Or does she genuinely believe she won Survivor Series?
Well, here's the bigger problem for me. is that in order for this character to work, this has to be her first time wrestling. Like if this was like the first time Lana had stepped inside the ring, like finally stepping out of the shadows of being a manager, and now she's stepping into the ring. And, you know, in basically her first go, she becomes the sole survivor at Survivor Series. And that kind of, you know, gives her some form of self-confidence or, you know, something along those lines. But it's not. She's been on pay-per-view before challenging for the title. She was challenging for the title 4 weeks ago. So now she's like acting like this is the first time ever. And she's like, oh, I don't know if I can get a title shot against Aska. I was like, you just had one. Like, why are you shocked by this? Everyone gets one. Mickey James had one. Zelina Vega got one. Like, this doesn't work at all. But they think that we're idiots and that we're just going to forget about all of the previous stuff that she's done. I find this incredibly insulting.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really, really done with the Lana stuff. There's more to come, so don't worry. Sheamus versus Riddle was the first of the qualifying matches, and they had a great qualifying match to get on the men's Survivor Series team. And at the start, I thought, well, this is pretty good, but you know, that first match was really good. By the end, I thought, man, I think this might be better.
Yeah, I thought this was really great. I mean, it's not a WrestleMania worthy match, but because the commentary didn't tell me it was, but it was really good.
What's going to happen when WrestleMania rolls around?
Well, there'll be loads of WrestleMania worthy matches then, because they'll be on WrestleMania.
How will we differentiate it from Raw? So they just they worked a hard hitting style. There was some really inventive spots. Sheamus hit an Alabama slam. Which he does not have in his arsenal, but Drew McIntyre does. I thought that was a very interesting note. But I'm worried that the Sheamus Drew plans are dropped, which has been my favorite building thing for the last couple of weeks.
I think you can extend it out. I do think this is by design, that they're delaying it maybe like towards the Rumble. You know, Sheamus can say to Drew, look, buddy, why do I need to go through this? You and I are mates. You could have just given me the shot rather than making me work for it. And some character motivation there to go after Drew in a vicious way to get a title shot for, I don't know, the Rumble or something. So I still think it can be there. Like, I was gutted that Sheamus didn't win because I really want to see Sheamus Drew. But the fact that Sheamus didn't win makes me want to see that match more. So I was totally fine with this. Plus, I loved the spot when he went to hit the bro kick and Riddle just collapsed. Proper like a Carter Omega, not like, you know, not at the same level, but it was, you know, certainly ebbs off it. I thoroughly enjoyed this. I thought this was excellent stuff.
Yeah, the only criticism I'd have, and this is a criticism of the whole show and WWE in general, it's just another not a roll-up win, but a sort of reverse pin surprise pinning thing. And in WWE's minds, I think they're like, yeah, we're protecting people in defeat. We've found the perfect formula. But I really, really missed, apart from the main event, I really missed finishing moves on this show.
But even then, that only came off the back of a distraction. Like every finish in this match was designed to protect the person who was losing. Hurt Business got rolled up. This was a roll up. Aska Lana was all distraction based stuff,
and it was a roll up.
And it was a roll up. Lashley was a DQ. That was a distraction in the main event. The only match that we really got a clean finish in was Alexa Bliss, Nikki Cross. Like, it's a night of rough finishes. And
the Bliss Cross stuff, as much as I loved it, was an angle, not really a match. So yeah, it's but this was a really, really good match. I think probably match of the night for me. After that, we got Aska then saying to Lana, I'm going to give you a title match later. And Lana's like, oh, you don't have to do that. I'm like, what is going on?
Yeah, someone said in the comments there, clearly Lana is a heel who thinks she's a face. No, she's a baby face. They're booking her as a... What do you think all the table breaking stuff, Spot? Like, all the table breaking stuff was to make us endear towards Lana as this underdog baby face who finally can. But they're now not telling that story. It's this, and it makes Aska look like a complete twat. Like, it makes her look like she's picking on the weak person and like being, you know, being, what's the word I'm after? Being, help me, Phil, tell me while I try and think of a word.
Bit of a bully?
no, not so much bully, but like condescending. Like she's
Mm.
condescending because like, oh, I'll give you a title shot, you little scamp. But like, it didn't make her look good. It didn't make Lana look good. And I don't get what Lana is now.
Asuka was either condescending or an idiot.
Yeah.
And then we got the Firefly Funhouse segment, which we've already covered. And then we got that Asuka versus Lana match, which was like all of 10 seconds before Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler attacked Asuka for the DQ. We get a tag team match between them all. Jax brawls with Lana outside. Lana moves, so Nia Jax crashes over the announcer's desk. That distraction lets Asuka roll up Shayna to win. It was Drew McIntyre. That's what it was.
I am guessing we're going to get Asuka and Lana versus Baszler and Jax for the titles at TLC in a tables match, or maybe even a TLC match. Maybe it will be a tables match makes the most sense, I guess, for the tag titles, which again doesn't give Asuka a storyline. She just becomes the third wheel to this Lana, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler storyline, which sucks for Asuka. She's just holding the belt warm until Charlotte comes home.
Yeah, weirdly, that would be TLC. So, the tag titles, the women's tag titles main evented last year's TLC. So it'll be interesting to see what they do this time round. Yeah, this was the first time in 10 weeks that Lana didn't go through the announcer's desk. I think this is a terribly told story. I was getting a kick out of the table break bits, but now they haven't even paid off on that correctly.
Yeah. And it's an open goal as well, with TLC coming around the corner.
I really like the next bit, though. Matt Riddle and MVP backstage. Matt Riddle's got some business ideas he wants to pitch. Pizza-flavored yogurt, called Brogurt. And it was rubbish comedy, really. But both guys were so good and charismatic, and they sold it, that I thought this was really fun.
The funniest bit of this segment was when Matt Riddle went off script. And you can tell that he went off script because MVP nearly laughed, which is when he's calling him bro. And MVP says, well, first off, I'm not your bro. And Matt Riddle goes, aw. And MVP nearly breaks and laughs. So he clearly went off script. And it was the funniest bit of the whole thing when Matt Riddle went into business for himself. It really it got a chuckle out of me. Not as much of a chuckle as McIntyre, but it still got a chuckle out of me nonetheless.
What an ad-lib from Pierce. After that, we got Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee, which was sort of, Matt Riddle's Keith Lee's mate. MVP manages Bobby Lashley, so that's why that segment was before it. And this was a good match. I think it was really superficially a good match. I'll explain why. That's because both guys just went for the strength stuff. And it was really impressive strength stuff. Like Bobby Lashley suplexed Keith Lee like it was nothing. And he picked him up outside and threw him into a ring post like it was nothing. That's all so mind-blowingly cool. But where's the story? Me and Luke saw Ishii work a match with Keith Lee, an entire 15-minute match based around Ishii hitting a suplex on Keith Lee. And he couldn't do it. He tried time and time again. And it was only at the end that he finally hit the suplex. And that is one of the most memorable things I've ever seen in wrestling. Here, Bobby Lashley just did it. So where's the struggle? Where's the thing to overcome? You're
right. I mean, sorry, I didn't mean to try and interrupt there. But when Ishii finally hit that suplex, that crowd was white hot anyway. And they were it was this boiling point. It was just getting louder and louder. When the Ishii finally hit that suplex, that crowd exploded for a suplex. It's basic move 101. But if you can tell a good story around it, it feels like an important spot. You're right. Here, it's just I've done it now. Third, fourth spot in the match where you can build stuff around that sort of thing. But in the end, MVP just jumped in and got Lashley DQ'd. Rubbish finish to what was actually a pretty decent match.
And it's a shame because the bit leading up to that beforehand was pretty good. MVP pushed Keith Lee into the ring post behind the referee's back. Keith Lee's sort of disorientated. He stumbles into the ring and he's still kind of coming to when Bobby Lashley gets in the full Nelson. And you can see Keith Lee, great sort of monster acting by Lee that he's so good at. He regains consciousness or awareness while he's being locked in it, and he stops it being locked in, and he powers out. Then you should just turn around, hit the spirit bomb, and win. That is an amazing finish that makes Keith Lee look awesome. Bobby Lashley, he looks fine. There's nothing really wrong with that. Sometimes people have to lose. But they didn't do that. They did MVP run in. No one really gets over. Keith Lee doesn't have any momentum coming into next week's match. It's a Mackem fart.
This company, they want to put people over, but they don't want anyone to lose. So this is why we get these finishes. This is why WWE feels like no one advances, because no one gets over when no one wins properly. It's, we try not to make it because it winds people up. The AEW have had 2 DQ finishes in their entire run as a company. 18 months, and it coming on 2 years, about 2 DQ finishes. There's episodes of Raw that have got 5 DQ finishes. That's their way out of these situations. They like to book these matches where oh my God, who's going to win? But the answer is no one. The answer is always no one is going to win.
We had the Bliss cross match after that, and then we got the same video package for The Undertaker from Survivor Series with a few extra bits, so we could relive that all-time great, memorable segment that's going to live in everyone's minds forever.
It just turns out that the final farewell at Survivor Series is a final farewell week here on WWE programming, so we'll probably get this on NXT and we'll get it on SmackDown as well.
Who could have foreseen this? And the main event was AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, legit WrestleMania worthy, because we saw it there. And they're so good together. They've got a really good understanding of how each other works. Their timing's great. And I thought this was where interference was necessary, and it really worked. So Randy's on the outside, and the lights cut out for a bit. And there's the Fiend. He's over there behind the barricade. And then he bops away again. Looked a bit goofy, but I don't mind that much. And then it happens again in the ring. The Fiend is suddenly on the apron. Randy looks at him. And I think that's the first time Randy's looked directly at the Fiend. Everything so far has been the Fiend behind him or in the peripherals. And that let AJ Styles hit the phenomenal forearm to win.
Yeah, I thought it was this sort of distraction finish does work because it's building a story off the back of it. I actually hope that they can extend this out to Mania.
Oh, wow.
Tell the story for a little while. Don't just give it straight away. Really build and tease this out and build Randy Orton versus Fiend to be a match that you want to see, as opposed to just, I don't really feel like this needs to be at TLC or at Rumble. So yeah, save it until Mania.
I quite like that Randy's not got the title anymore.
Yeah, it's so much more interesting.
It's not sucked in with the Fiend, yeah. But yeah, overall, I know we ragged on it a lot there, and the finishes up and down the card were ridiculous. But by my current standards of Raw, this was a hugely enjoyable show. The in-ring wrestling was great. I loved what Bliss and the Fiend have created, and everything had stakes, more or less. So yeah, I gave it 4 out of 4.
I am going to agree with the Twitter consensus, which was 48.7% good. I thought it was a good episode of Raw. Only 10.7% agreed with you, 26.3% thinking that it was terrible. And the only reason I'm going to agree with the Twitter consensus there is that I enjoyed the wrestling, and I love the Bliss and Fiend stuff, but the finishes really dragged this show down, which is unfortunate. And it's because it's, again, no one's fault but the people in charge, and it sucks for the talent. But yeah, that's what brought the show down for me. But it was a good episode of Raw. I did enjoy it.
Well, we've got to take a brief interlude to say thank you to our amazing Pledge Hammers on Patreon. Go over to Patreon, become a Pledge Hammer over there, and you can get loads of stuff like our WrestleTalk extra review of Survivor Series 2001 that went up last week, and your own wrestling nickname and a cheap pop on this very show. Get the cheap pops going in the comments, folks, for the second coming Kev Jr.
There he is. Jordan, don't you dare call me Mountain Dew.
Yes, groovy Dylan Powers.
Groovy. What a relevant and nowadays reference point. Full of flavor, Sean Blanford.
Tasty. Mark, he's got Sol Campbell. It's a football joke.
It's a football joke. Hey, now you're an all-star, Chuck Turner.
Woo! The gobbledygooker.
Hey, 24/7
Timely.
champion. Timely, yeah. Let's all have a drink. Christopher Travis Merriman. beer52.com
Thank you.
/WrestleTalk.
Duncan. Just Duncan.
Just Duncan. There he is. Angelo Mercado.
Oh, you are getting the rolling R's down. Ari and Shifra. Ari and Shifra. The booze awaits.
Very nice.
beer52.com/WrestleTalk.
Denise has taught me well when it comes to the R's. He's not a sexy man. Not an Andrew Grossman. He's a sexy man.
Thank you. We've heard from him on this very show already. Jonathan, the Headmaster Headman.
There he is. Butter me up, Soren Nord.
Thank you. And this is some kind of Patreon shout out. Nate drops surname.
There he is. Thank you, Nate.
Thank you, everybody. Let's get on with your ultra chats. Go over to WrestleTalk.com/support to get in your ones now. This is a last call. Ding, ding, ding. Taxel. MVP should take notes from The Fiend on how to interfere in a match. Just scare the S word out of them. Raw had great wrestling, but the finishes were meh.
I mean, a great idea, Taxel, but I don't think MVP quite has the menace that The Fiend does. If he just got up at the end and was like, ugh, I don't think Keith Lee's going to be like, oh my God, what am I going to do now?
Tyler Woodward, I enjoyed last night's Raw. Riddle versus Sheamus was my highlight. I think Styles will win the triple threat next week. But if reports are to be believed, we will get Braun somehow. Meh. Meh seems to be the operative word at the moment. Also, can Nia Jax buzz off? She is getting annoying. And then at the end, he put hashtag King of Peens, Ollie Davis. Get that down!
Here comes the pain. I think Braun's going to come in and just wreck house, leave all three of them laying, and Adam Pearce will have no choice but to make Braun the number one contender, maybe. Nia, it sucks as a story. Just really sucks as a story.
Michael Dominguez, Sheamus on NXT would be great versus Thatcher. Yes, please. Cross Champa or versus Dam versus Balor. Also, if you told me Shelton was on Raw 2020 having the best in-ring career, I would have called you crazy.
I don't know if this is Shelton's best in-ring that he's had. Not by a long shot, but he's been very good this year.
Blake, 5 out of 5 show. Enjoyed the majority. 4 segments with Riddle. He has transcended the 3-week push. Can you see... Well, you forget about all that time he had on SmackDown. Can you see Riddle-Sheamus feud ending with an unlikely friendship rage team? Oh, we've done that with Cesaro already with Sheamus. Finisher can be the bro kick.
I mean, that works as a finishing move, but like the money's in Sheamus Drew as opposed to Riddle Sheamus.
Mr. Burt Wayne, of course. Gorilla Press and B thinks the Matt Riddle versus Sheamus match was masterful at Kempth. I don't know whether you were going for strength or Kempth there or length.
Or length, yeah.
Yeah.
It was master, yeah.
But yeah, it was great. My match of the night. Marquise Edwards. Hopefully Riddle goes into a feud with Lashley for the US title and takes it off him and then goes into a feud with Keith Lee to set up Mania unless Lee wins the Rumble and faces Drew, which I prefer more.
Hey, Lee Drew, I'm also mad into.
Yeah, I like any of those options.
But also, I mean, like Riddle Lashley, I think there's a lot of potential to be done within that. Reese Johnson, afternoon, lads. Hope you're doing well. Really enjoyed Raw. Some quality matches that had stakes and had time given. Glad that we're going to get to see a new number one contender and not Orton for the millionth time. Got to be AJ. He's the heel, right? Hashtag El Fakador.
Don't know where that guy is. Yeah, you would think so, but the reports are Braun Strowman is going to somehow supersede all of them.
Matthew Robinson, this episode was actually flawless. That's a bold statement there, Matthew. Great matches from beginning. Amazing tag team. Good Lana segment. Getting Aska involved with Nia and Shayna. OMG, the Keith Bobby match. Yes, please. Main event had a great finish with the Fiend drop-in. Feel WWE needs to do an episode like this at least once a month to get things going and get storylines going. All the qualifying matches for triple threats and the women's tags has put Aska in a storyline. Why can't Raw do this more? I'm assuming he meant there.
Well, thank you very much for your 2 generous super chats there. That was, or ultra chats spread across. Yeah, I'm glad you liked it so much. I really agree with a lot of the stuff you said. I don't think the Aska Lana stuff was any good though. But yeah, you're right. Like, why can't they do this more often? it's that they just sort of pick when they want to care. And I think it's around these 5 times a year around the big pay-per-views.
That's when the football starts to kill them in the ratings again. They're like, oh, yeah, you got to put on good TV shows to make people want to watch them. The Jam one, Ryan B. Jad. I thought for the most part, Raw was boring. Keith versus Bobby was good, bad ending. Sheamus Riddle was good, but everything else was a match we've seen 50 times already. Low 2 out of 4 for me. Flan that Flan, which is a reference to the Fightful podcast with Denise and Sean.
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with anyone who didn't like this.
Matthew Robinson again. I hope Randy and Fee go into a program without titles because their story doesn't need it. Completely agree with you. Omni1 / can we pour one out for Drew McIntyre?
To Drew McIntyre.
To Drew McIntyre. Charles Edwards, you mentioned New Day realizing their moves aren't as powerful without Big E. So what if they're devolving into heels and needing to cheat because they're afraid they'll lose the belt? Makes it a storyline that he was the muscle, but he's also the heart of them.
I really like that. New Day have been baby faces for a long, long time. And they could be amazing heels.
Yeah, I really like that. And then because it actually means that the reunion that they have with Big E would mean so much more, where he's got to be the man to be like, guys, what are you doing? I think there could be. Apparently, according to Andy, news just in, Strowman has been suspended by WWE.
Is it officially, like, is this actually a cover for a wellness policy strike or something, or is this all kayfabe?
I think this is a kayfabe thing. I don't know if my microphone picked it up there because it is a bit directional, but I actually let out a little fart there.
A little mac and fart.
I let a little mac and fart to be like, it was legit, and it was quite an omni-flare sounding fart as well. That I was hoping I could pick up as my reaction to that bit of news. Conor Fletcher, Drew packing fart. Art Triplet 20. Just to be factual, Adam Pearce said if it was up to me, he'd be fired, not what Luke said. Right, it's the same thing. So when Braun's on next week, well, listen to this, Aplatret. He's been suspended. Yeah. So when Braun's on next week, he's supposed to be there. It's not some drop storyline. Joke's on you, mate. You carry on now, mate.
Eric, we've got a lot of super chats, ultra chats. We'll mission through these. Eric Jackson, they should bring back the Highlanders, put them with Drew in a stable, have him carry around the Claymore, and then have him constantly saying how there can be only one Highlander. Lol, get it? Because they're all Scottish. Jam that jam, mates.
So glad that turned into a joke there, Eric. I was a bit concerned at the start there.
Andrew Haran. Are all the African-American wrestlers relegated to wrestle each other? New Day, Hurt Business, Street Profits, Ricochet and Cedric before that, Apollo Crews, Bobby, and soon Keith Lee, maybe. Coincidence? Every week it's more noticeable. Am I nuts?
Well, I think when you have a roster that's a bit more diverse, you're going to end up with people of the same race having matches against each other. So I don't think it's being done on purpose.
But like 4 months ago, when that was definitely the case for the United States picture, where it felt the title picture, where it felt quite lazily done. Like, well, let's just shove all the African American wrestlers into one bit. I actually think now they've just got a really diverse roster.
Yeah,
and all the credit to them. It doesn't feel like they're pushing anything. So brilliant. Tom Sturtridge. Hi, guys. What's the chances when Miz tries to cash in Money in the Bank, they check for the contract and find an old sandwich, and the real contract is in the Money in the Bank lunchbox, which is still with Otis? Sounds like a WWE thing to do. Stay safe and jam that jam.
Eek. Hey, do you know what? It's better than Miz cashing in and winning. So,
well, that's it, isn't it? Why not? Yeah. I quite like that. That. Bacon Rasher, hi again, lads. Cameron Past of COVID, young and healthy, talented wrestler. This is the 19-year-old wrestler Bacon Rasher spoke about earlier. Please take care of each other. Wear a mask. Also, can we all get along in wrestling and get JTF going? Jam that flan. Finally, FTF has a new meaning. Flan that flan. Go Denise.
I'm really looking forward to teaming with Denise tomorrow. Team Danuke, team podcast for Quizzlemania. I think people are really underestimating her. Really, really underestimating. Like, because we've got pretty stiff competition in the current Quizlemania champion and the very first Quizlemania champion in Team Website. And Louis and Alex have got legit backstage sources. So there is some competition to be going up against, for Denise's. But I don't think we're going to be team last place. I don't think we're going to win, though.
Carol Wands, Trekkie386, says, just wanted to wish you both good luck on Quizlemania tomorrow. It's not going to be easy, but I know it will be fun. Quizlemania is the greatest show ever. Oh, and Ollie, do your very best. I believe in you. I really do. Hashtag be kind to each other. Hashtag team the podcasts. Hashtag team the website. Well, where's hashtag team on authority then?
Team the news, I believe you are. Team Danuke for Quizlemania tag team interim tag team champions. Can't say the word there.
Tyler Woodward, how do you guys do live reactions all the time? I did it on my channel with my friends. Check out Last Fan Standing. My sleep pattern hasn't recovered yet. I listen to the podcast in audio form while I'm exercising, but watch you live also. Hashtag get rowdy.
Thank you very much, Tyler. The answer is we don't really. It's I'm so tired. I was really tired yesterday. My wife and I finished an episode of Taskmaster, and I said, right, should we go to bed then? And she said, it's 3 minutes past 8. And I was like, oh God, I thought it was so much later. I'm so tired.
I slept through 2 alarms this morning.
I went to bed. I was so tired. We eventually went to bed at 9 o'clock because I was like, I've got to go to bed. And then I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. and I was just awake, and I was like, brilliant, amazing. I'm knackered.
Charles Berg, since I am neutral, I only want a good battle. To me, it doesn't matter whether Fakador or Ollie wins. However, I must tell you this, Oliver. It's Mr. Davis. In order for you to win, you must tap into the dark parts of your mind. The danger zone. You must become hardcore, Ollie.
Hardcore Ollie. Shout out to all my TNA marks in the chats.
Rakshit Kana, stop using the A word, please. Specifically with that stuff, you added it to my shopping list. You're welcome. But the A word is, of course, Alexa. Blind Raw. Valid Mamadapudi here. Oh, under a different name. Just to say Drew McInfart. Also, can I get Ollie to do the impression of Test saying, partay?
Perhaps later on, you and I can partay.
Partay.
Yeah, she wants me. Yeah, she wants me, eh?
Renee, hey guys, hope you're doing well. You look rather dashing today. Keep up the good work and have a great day. Thanks. Amro, lol, got you, Ollie. This is the person who added stuff to our shopping lists using Alexa. Mr. Davis, I don't know why everyone is disrespecting me so much. Still the top dog. Josh Razuskas. It's Razman's reality. Mr. Davis. Josh knows. Change your activation word to computer. That way you won't trigger your devices during reviews. Not a bad idea. You can name them different things. Matthew Robinson. Be careful, Ollie. Mr. Davis, come on. Laurie will come back and act like nothing has happened and lull you into a state of normality. That's when he will strike you when you let your guard down. Remember, he locked you into YouTube before. Just give him the championship. It's not worth it.
Yeah, he did once trap you inside of YouTube for about a week as well.
Don't
Remember
know
Nash?
what to think. Caleb Maldonado. Soon everything will be Fagador. Also would love to hear Ollie Davis. Mr. Davis reviewing his lady partner's Amazon shopping list, even though he is not my champion. All jokes aside, keep up the great work, guys. Thank you.
You're just such an over character that everyone gets the name right.
Banneker1192 with a very generous Ultra Chat. Thank you. First donation, long-time fan from Germany here.
Hey.
Hello, Germany. I've been here since it was only Ollie. I mean, Mr. Davis. By the way, El Fakador is coming for you. Hashtag Fort Awesome.
Fort Awesome is getting over. Bearing in mind as well, just to point out in that super chat, he did put Mr. Davis in quotation marks like he was taking the piss.
Tyler Woodward, I rewatched your feud with Cultaholic. That has better than this BS Lana storyline.
I think it was that meant to be that was better than this BS Lana storyline. Well, that had stakes and stuff.
I would like to think that was better than a lot of things. I'm proud of that. Nate S, where's the belt?
Yep, because he's dropped it on the floor, doesn't care about it. He is not your real champion.
It's been here all along on my shoulder. Did Fakador win it already and I missed it? Also, Drew McInfart on the ones and twos.
I forgot about the ones and poos.
You know what I haven't forgot about?
What's that, mate?
Drinking kegs and busting heads. What's worse, that or Drew McInfart?
Well, I mean, Drew McInfart is funny, and I would genuinely believe that someone would say that as an accident, as opposed to drinking kegs and whatever it was on purpose.
Nate S. Ollie Davis, the reigning champion of the world. It's championship. Take the peen thing down. And it's Mr. Davis. And lastly here, Matt Noble, a colleague of mine, once announced to his shock that he'd just got an email receipt for a pregnancy test that his wife had ordered on their shared Prime account. He wasn't aware there was a need for one. They had a baby girl.
Oh, wow. That's really good. That's excellent news.
Just before we get out of here, we've been encouraged by the wonderful mod mother, Jenna, our mod, that Andy has encouraged you all to say fart names for wrestlers. Let's go through a few of these. Ian Crook here. Bret Fart.
I like a fart gun. Andy himself, Leon Guff. That's pretty funny.
We've got Marty Jafati, which doesn't sound like Janetti, but it flows well.
Farty Janetti is the easier way of doing that.
There's fart gun now. Oh, El Fartador.
Sorry.
What else have we got? Randy Farton.
Yeah, Randy Farton's good. Shotzi Black Fart. That's also one from Andy. Mercedes Fartinez. That's also from Andy. Basically, Andy thought of loads of them, so he's just come in to put them. Natalia Nide Fart.
Some of these are so lazy. Look at this. The fifth crow has said Pat Macafart. It just
that sort of works.
It just put in fart into words.
What's everyone else doing? It's not like he went AJ Fart. Like that would have been lazy.
Might as well have been.
Pat McAfee, I think almost works. I think it's Pat McAfee. What else we got here?
I think that's all the farts.
The Fart Authority. See that in there. Hunter Fart Helmsley, the Young Farts. Yeah, some of these don't work. Yeah, see, like someone's just written Bray Fart. Like that one doesn't work.
Well, we've had another one just while all that was going on. Amro has said, you didn't read out my full super chat, Ollie. It's Mr. Davis. I can't do the full super chat because that would add... It's a bit bad taste. I'm not going to read it out, but I read the smelly boogers bit out.
Yeah, there you go.
But thank you, everybody, for joining us here today. Smash that thumbs up button. Give us a subscribe if this is your first time watching, or if you haven't subscribed already. It really helps YouTube serve you more of this video. And of course, beer52.com/WrestleTalk. Get yourself a free case of 8 craft beers.
It's a wonder why anyone wants to do any advertising with us when we're so smooth at this advertising lark.
I just wish we
have a lovely time.
We should just get Luke Gallows to come in and do all our plugs for us. But honestly, beer52.com/WrestleTalk. They're amazing. You're all amazing. I'm amazing. The most, though, you're Jan that champion. It's upside down. We'll see you on Thursday. And hopefully we find out where Laurie's gone.
Of course it's upside down. Of course it's upside down. Can't hold the button.